Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast, with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Thursday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a study. It's a show. It's all of the above. Put on a little show for you. We study. We share our realizations about life. Good morning, Kastuba. How are you today?
I'm happy to be here with you today, Raghunath.
I'm happy. I'm happy you're happy. Well, it's been a wonderful week. And yesterday there was a little after hours party. That's why Mara looks so tired today. Yeah, she don't look that tired, but I know you're tired.
After hours?
It's after hours party. I don't stay up for after hours party when you get the teenagers. I just let the teenagers be teenagers. But all I know is my daughter was tattooing somebody in the living room last night. A couple of people.
Maybe he was, maybe your son, Tarun?
No, I was practicing on, my other son, my adopted son, young Tommy Fawcett.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Giving him the out-of-step sheep on the leg. For those who know, they know. The out-of-step sheep. Anyway, that's what I'm dealing with.
Okay.
All right. How are you?
Again, I'm happy to be here with you.
Okay, good. Miss Mara, always impressed by these others. I mean, by these Zoomers who's showing up on a regular basis. It's quite impressive. I was listening to the show yesterday because I wanted to hear my mother talk. And I was like,
okay, back to knitting.
And I was like, I wouldn't listen to me every day. That's what you were pretty good, Kastuba. You were very good.
What happened? What? I was
just listening. You know, I never listened back to the shows.
Oh, okay.
But the more I was like, Kastuba's very good. I would never listen to me on a regular basis.
What show were you listening to?
No. I was really impressed with you.
No.
Yeah, good job. You're doing well. Mara, announcements, please.
We have a Back to Your Recovery group meeting today at noon. And tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for our Patreon members is Asana with Josh Kane. And then do you want to talk about any of the upcoming events here?
Yeah, talk about them.
What are we calling? There's yoga teacher training coming up July 13th.
Yeah, during yoga teacher training, we're offering this yoga farm stay too. People who don't want to do the training, they can come up for 5 days and chill. You should email Mara immediately because people found out about that. Now it's happening. People are coming up just because they want to get the hell away. Yoga farm stay. Do a little
interesting
yoga.
Branding concept.
Huh?
It's like a new thing. The yoga farm stay.
Yeah, like
I've
that.
heard of that before.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Yoga farm stay. You come, you chill out, you get away from your world, you hang out with us.
Farm getaway. How's that?
Are you trying to rebrand my rebrand?
Yeah, I think it needs that. If I hear there's a farm stay going on, I don't really know what that means. Like if someone said
it's
a farm
yoga
getaway,
farm stay. You get to pet a sheep. You get to eat good food. You get to walk out of the city and walk around. You go to some yoga class. It's a yoga farm stay.
Okay.
Okay. If it doesn't work, we'll change the name.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, we're going to do that. And then, of course, we've got these retreats coming up with me and Goravani, Chant Camp, and me and Laura Pag. These are all in September. And me and Jiva G are doing from Bliss. No, from what did we call it? No, I can't remember the name. It's on my website. It's from bondage to bliss.
Oh.
Yeah, first you come, we tie you up, we put you in bondage, and then we get you into bliss by the end.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing. That's happening. It's all on my calendar. Just go to raghunath.yoga or my link in my bio. And then, of course, we're going to do our autumn Wisdom of the Sages retreat. I'm trying to get Johnny for that. What do you think about that?
That would be nice.
Would that be great?
Yeah.
All right. So any announcements you got up your sleeve?
Me just, a reminder that it's just less than a week and a half away now. I'll be in London doing a program at Studio 108 in central London with Vaishnava Prabhu. I think it'll be a really great time. And if you want to find that, you just go to my Instagram and click on the link in the bio and it'll show you where to go.
That's all. We're going to be on the road soon, Kastuba.
All right. Yeah.
And guess where our first stop is? We're going to Road Rage's house in Split, Croatia.
Well,
and guess who we're going to meet there? Lori Pag and the Chief are going to be there.
Oh, that's nice. Those two. Look at them getting around.
Me and the Chief. We're going to be wrestling, pillow fighting, holding each other by the pinkies, spinning around,
but very near Croatia is another land called Serbia.
Yeah.
Which brings us to today's nugget.
Oh.
Right. Little segue.
Why don't you read it?
Want me to read it?
I knew nothing about these people.
Okay.
And they use this word tennis goat. It wasn't until 3 minutes before the show, I didn't even know what goat meant. I thought it was just like, he's a goat. Like, man, he's like the best. I thought it just meant greatest of all time. That's what it means. Because
That's what it means.
I was like, why is everyone calling everybody the goat? The goat. He's the goat. He's the goat. I thought goats were sort of like gnarly animals that like, all right, call him a goat. Goats are cool animals, but it means greatest of all time. And now if you're older, you might not know these kid words. So I didn't know that because Stuba educated me. Tell us about these two goats you're going to talk about.
So what we wanted to highlight for today's nugget was that from within the past week, from Serbia, two athletes have demonstrated their rising to the top of their field. Mm-hmm. And Serbia is a small little country, smaller than New York City, population wise, So it's really quite something that there's two athletes. One is Novak Djokovic, the tennis player. Mm-hmm. He won his 23rd tennis Grand Slam, which is the most in history. No one has ever won that many.
I know nothing about tennis.
So Grand Slam means there's 4 major tennis competitions,
Yeah.
There's, I think it's Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and
they took a baseball term and took it as their own. They can't do that.
And the one in New York, the U.S. Open.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess they took the baseball term. But there's 4 of them. And when you win one of those, they count your greatness by how many of those you win. He's won 23, which now surpasses everyone in history. He's also quite the follower of. I know that he receives a lot of counsel and connects a lot with our friend Jay Shetty.
Yes, our good
friend. He's a thinker. Jay Shetty. He's a thinker.
Jay Shetty's a deep guy.
Yeah, and so Novak Djokovic won his 23rd tennis Grand Slam over the weekend, and then I think like 2 days ago in the NBA, the National Basketball Association, Nikola Jokic, right, similar name, Nikola Jokic, established himself as the current greatest basketball player in the world. I think he's won the MVP, the most valuable player, like the past 2 years or something like that.
I know nothing about basketball.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's something like that. But you can do that, but until you win a championship, you're really not established as one of the greats.
Okay.
Now, he
Right.
just took a team that had never, ever won the championship before, and he took them to the championship, and they won. Okay, so now they have the greatest tennis player. Arguably, you could say he's the greatest tennis player, well, the GOAT. At least he's won more than anyone has ever won. And you have the number one basketball player in the world. Both come from this tiny little country. And not that I've ever been to Serbia, but one can imagine that both of these, that the nation is quite proud of these individuals, rising to the top of their fields, coming from their home. Now, what I want to highlight is the mood of these two individuals. They're actually both unique in the way that they're really quite humble. They're not coming on with all this artificial bravado. It doesn't take artificial bravado to become great, even in the field of athletics or things like that. These are they're gentlemen, at least from all that I've seen. They're gentlemen, and certainly the way that they speak like people that have understood something a bit deeper about life. That it's not all about me and me being in the center. A lot of times these athletes, they're just getting so much praise heaped on them. NBA players, it's like
I don't know what happens.
Just the ego and the arrogance that they make, because they everybody's telling them they're so special because they have this, women or throwing themselves at them, money is being thrown at them, and you just get lost in that. It's not difficult to get lost in that. These are two men that have risen to the very top of their field. They're being cheered on by thousands of fans, but they're focused on speaking humbly, which is a nice thing. So I wanted to read two statements.
Can I just share my little issue I have with basketball?
Well, that would be a squirrel at this point.
It would be a squirrel, but I'm heaping all these praise on these people. I just feel like it's a little bit exclusive. There's a type of tall privilege that they get because they're born into a tall body. They all of a sudden have some upper hand. I think there should be some reparations for the short, like short people, my people
get 3 points when they make a shot.
Yeah, we get an extra point or something.
An extra point.
Why is it fair that they're born tall, that all of a sudden they're heaps of money and women are throwing themselves at them and they're
Life's
the top
fair,
of the game
Ragnar.
and all these accolades? This is a type of inequality, and I'd like some reparations for my shortness.
Okay.
And I think this is a type of a privilege, a tall privilege, and I don't appreciate it.
You keep working on that.
Okay.
And,
Okay, go on.
While you're working on that, I'm going to read these statements that they said.
Thank you.
Okay? So this is Nikola Jokic, the basketball player, speaking about Novak Djokovic. And he says, he's the guy who represents Serbia in a much bigger scene. He's the Serbian ambassador. He's the idol to the kids in Serbia, not just for the things on the court, but also for the things that his foundation is doing. I want to be like him.
Wow, he's not taking the praise. He's passing it right
He's
on.
passing it.
That's like Vaishnava stuff.
That's Vaishnavas. They just pass it. I'm not going to be poisoned by this prayer. I appreciate the praise. I pass it on.
Praise can be a poison for the Vaishnava. We don't want to hear it. We want to duck it. We want to duck it, let it go over our head, pass it on to our teachers, or throw it back. So I call it sort of appreciation badminton. Well, I appreciate you, and you hit it back to me, and appreciate me, and I hit it back to you, and it just goes back and forth.
Yeah. Now, if his mind were set in a different way, programmed in a different way, if he had less control of that mind, he might have responded in a different way, saying, well, what he's done is certainly great, but what I've done is actually superior to what he's done, right? You try to become in the NBA. It's like a much different, he could have, you know what I'm saying? That's a common response, right? No,
of course.
He went the other way. Meanwhile, you switch over to Novak Djokovic. What is he saying about Nikola Jokic? Okay, this was probably spoken during the finals or shortly before. He says, I don't think anyone can do what he is doing at the moment in basketball. He is definitely the best basketball player in the world. I cheer for him greatly. He's an amazing guy. He's the pride of Serbia. We're so proud of him. We hope he can win his first ring.
Wow.
Now just think, we can say this is a beautiful quality. But as yogis, we take it even a bit deeper, right? We say, in one sense, each one of them is more established in truth. They haven't become bewildered by the tremendous flow of material good karma coming their way. Like they're being praised, they're receiving lots of money. Likely there's opportunities for material enjoyment in all different ways. And they haven't they're resisting the temptation towards arrogance. They're resisting the temptation to seeing themselves as the center. They're saying, he's the center. I'm not the big deal in Serbia. He's the big deal in Serbia. It's more focused on truth, and it really who's happier? Are we happier when we're trying artificially to be in the center and manifesting all kinds of bravado and so on? They've achieved the top goal without becoming toxic, maintaining humility. And you know what? In the long run, a lot of these guys that achieve these high goals, say in athletics or maybe in other fields, when they try to take in that poison, when they lose their position, because time is going to take it away soon. Both of these men, within a short number of years, there'll
be somebody coming around the bend.
They will be replaced.
Better. Sure. Just like when I was little, it was like the greatest daredevil was
Evel Knievel.
Evel Knievel. Good job, Mara. Evel Knievel. Like everyone was like, wow, I want to be Evel Knievel when I grow up. Now people are doing stuff like kids are doing stuff on their bicycles or on motorcycles, flipping motorcycles, flipping it around. Forget jumping Winnebagos. People are doing like ridiculous things now on motorcycles. A moment ago, he was on the top of the daredevil game, easily replaced.
Yeah. And within a short time, someone else will be called the greatest basketball player in the world, and someone else will be playing number one in tennis. That's going to happen. Sure. It's going to happen quickly. But because they're not trying to enjoy, I'm number one, and because they're manifesting humility, they will be happier as they let go of that. Sure. Right? As they'll be able to let go of it. I was never trying to hold on to that in the first place. It's an important lesson in life. So I salute Serbia and I salute these gentlemen. Congratulations to them, and even more so for their accomplishments in the realm of sports, for the way that what they're demonstrating, having achieved that.
It's almost as if that you develop more power in your spiritual attitude and demeanor by, if you have a lot, yet you're not attached to it. You're not attached to the ego that goes with it, or the stuff that goes with it, or the accolades that go with it, and you can see yourself and remain humble. It's almost more impressive. I was saying, remember I was telling that story about greed yesterday or the other day, about how when we were younger, we used to get invited to go to these warehouses to get all the clothing that you wanted.
That was very illustrative, that story, Ragnar. That was
how you could. Well, what happens is you feel like, well, I'm above greed. Well, maybe you just haven't had the good opportunity to be greedy yet. Maybe you're just right. broken down on your luck. But right. Can you be not greedy when you have tons of stuff? Can you be humble when everyone's telling you you're awesome? Right. That's the real test. It's like, can you have so much yet actually be incredibly humble? You and I know people like this, people who are incredibly intelligent, incredibly accomplished, incredibly wealthy, yet still they are like, the yogis use this analogy of when you heat a coconut, like in the oven, the meat becomes separate than the shell.
So right? It's still inside the coconut, but it's separate.
Still inside the coconut, but it's separate. You could actually shake it around. So in the same way, these people who have so much, can they not be affected by it? I was saying how I was affected by that. You can have everything you want. And I'm running around a warehouse like a nutcase.
Like you're on an episode of I Love Lucy or something.
Yes. It just happened to me again. Really? Did I tell this story yet? And it just happened to me again because I was giving some lecture on Instagram, and there was a Yeti sticker on my computer that was visible. And so I got a call from a friend.
What is Yeti? Some
You know what Yeti
billboard
is?
thing or
Yeti's
something?
like these mugs that I drink out of.
Oh, Yeti.
Mug.
Okay.
So I got a call from a friend who was like, "Hey, I saw your great Instagram video. What does it take to get a igloo sticker on your computer?" I was like, "Igloo?" I go, "Don't tell me. Do you work for Igloo?" This was like an old friend of mine from the music scene. He goes, "Yeah, I do all their marketing and stuff for Igloo." I was like, he goes, I was like, "Oh, I can easily." In my mind, I was like, "Well, I can be easily purchased by Igloo." He said, "Why don't you go to that Igloo website and you just get whatever you want?" I was like, "You're kidding? Whatever. I'm going through the Igloo."
What are you gonna get? Like a cooler to take to the beach or something?
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous how obsessed and greedy I was for Igloo products. And I'm picking out different various mugs and coolers and, picnic containers. And I was just like, I'm ridiculous. And you get to this point where like anything I want, how many, maybe I want 5 Igloo. It is ridiculous how possessed we can become by things. Over nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, Krishna. It's like, and after it's all done, I'm like, I failed that test. When can I be a sage of steady mind? When will that happen? So I got to give hats off to these guys who have everything and are walking around completely detached.
And again, I haven't even seen this guy play basketball, but as he's gone through the playoffs, I think there's something about him that captures people. He's like a real big guy, like a big bear, but he's real humble in how he speaks and kind of nonchalant about everything. And he was asked, so every day he's standing before the reporters and they're asking him questions. He has these kind of unique replies, and just a unique demeanor. So he was asked something like, do you think you're one of the greatest of all time or something like that? And he was kind of blowing it off. And they asked him something like, well, are you something, they mentioned something about him being the greatest player on his team right now. Right.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't know if I'm the greatest player on my team. It's like on any night, someone else may be the greatest player on the team.
Yeah, it's like Maharaj Yudhisthira.
Yeah. It's like, maybe some nights I'm the greatest player on the team, but on another night somebody else is the greatest player on the team. He just like, it's to everyone else in the world, it's like, it's obvious you're the best player on the team.
By the way, we are missing the flip side of this humility as well. Okay. The flip side is they get a lot of accolades. They get a lot of love. They get a lot of, attention. They get people throwing themselves at them. People hang on every word they say. They get a lot of money for what they do. They also have to be very, very detached, not from that stuff, but from all the criticism. Okay. If you're in the public eye, you get so much criticism from people you don't know, telling you how fake you are and what a sellout you are, and you are never sincere. It's like,
because one wave follows the other, and the bigger the one wave is, probably the bigger the next one's gonna be.
My God. I mean, how many times do you pick up a magazine and be like, oh, the Kardashians, I hate their freaking guts. You know what I mean? You don't even know the Kardashians. They could be great people, but we just throw hate at people in the same way you throw praise at them. And they also have to move forward with proper intelligence, just dodging that, because, when you throw tenfold hate at a person, it can really throw you. If you're hated, it can really throw you off track. It really makes, and this swinging of the back and forth of love and hate and praise and disgrace, and it can really break a person. And that's, I think, why a lot of times people who do get those accolades, they fall into addiction, they fall into drugs, they fall into various types of ways to medicate this pain, and they go way off track. So when you see people like these two who are getting it all, yet somehow remaining with that almost like a sage of steady mind, it's quite impressive.
I think this is when athletics becomes a healthy thing in society, right? Mm-hmm. If those people that like young men, young ladies, are prone to particularly young men, I think, were more into athletics, but are prone to idolize. And if that person, in one sense, it's a meaningless thing to hit that ball over the net or to throw it through the hoop. But if in doing it, you can demonstrate some character, then that could radiate, widely. You know what this story reminds me, what we're talking about reminds me of a little bit from Mahabharata. Can you think of a story in Mahabharata?
Yes, exactly. That's why I said Mars Yudhisthira. Find me the best.
Yeah.
Who will be the next? Who will be the next king? And grandfather Bhishma or Dronacharya.
I'm thinking something slightly different, but go ahead.
I was thinking Dronacharya told Duryodhana, "Find me the best, citizen out there. Find me someone who's better."
Are we talking about
you.
the same thing where he said it to Duryodhana and Yudhishthira at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. So what he said was
on the same story.
Well, if it's those two, then yes. But then let's just redefine this.
It was Dronacharya telling Duryodhana, "Find me someone who's better than you."
There you go. And
he's like, I'm looking all over. No one's better than me. I'm courageous.
He went out all day.
Strong.
Hold it. Let's. He said to the two of them. He said to Duryodhana, by the end of the day, in the morning time, he said, go out, and by the end of the day, come back to me with someone that's better than you. Right? And he said to Yudhishthira, go out, and by the end of the day, find someone that you're better than.
Who's lesser than you. Yeah.
There's lesser than you. And he sent them both out. Okay. At the end of the day, they both come back and go. Okay.
And Duryodhana said, I looked hard.
I
went all over the land, and I'm a great fighter. I'm a great leader. I'm very courageous. I set a good example. I couldn't find anybody better than me.
I'm sorry. I tried as hard as I could. And
Dronacharya just said, sit down. Yeah. Yudhishthira, who did you find lesser than you? And Yudhishthira had this, I looked around, and although I'm very qualified at many things, there are people that had less, but when I look closer, they had some other great quality that I didn't have. And I can't overlook those great qualities that they have as well. So as much as I looked, I couldn't find someone lesser than me. I saw them, they all had some greatness. And it was at that point that Dronacharya realized this person deserves to be the emperor.
You are the emperor.
You're the emperor.
Yeah, that's right.
So beautiful it's a beautiful quality. And how we handle that, the praise, and how we handle the hate. And here's a great, and on the other side, here's a great little lesson for me. Today's lesson for me was when people do get praise, especially within spiritual circles, can I appreciate that other people are appreciating them? Or do I have to be like, yeah, well, they don't know them like I know them. You know what I mean? Do I have to take that person down, or can I appreciate that somebody is getting praised? That's hard because it challenges, again, my ego, which is the whole reason why I'm embodied in the first place. Right. Can I appreciate other people's appreciating somebody else? Or
if not, it's due to my own inner illusion, insecurity, etc. I'm searching for validation externally, and that person's getting it instead of me. Yeah, we really don't need that validation.
By the way, if that happens to us, Kostuba gets praised and I'm angry. Let's use that. They don't appreciate me. I've done so much too. Once I feel that, there should be a red flag that goes up and said, your spiritual train is off the tracks. Your spiritual train is derailed. Once you're not feeling appreciation for somebody else's praise, we're off track. We've done something wrong. That should be like a warning sign. My car's got this warning sign like Mara's car does. If you go into the wrong lane, it goes beep, 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 and the steering wheel gives a little vibration. That should be our vibration. Like we are off, we are out of our lane in our spiritual trajectory.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I praise you, goat. You are the goat.
No, you.
No, you are the goat. It's such goats. They're the ugliest of beasts, I think. They have those demonic eyes. I don't like goats. I don't think that's we need a different acronym.
No. You need to see the goat differently.
Maybe I'm just seeing them externals.
Yeah.
But they always, it's the Satan worshipers. They're always got the goat in there. I think maybe that's why I've got issues with the goat.
Well, that don't
I've been
blame them.
I'm a very anti-devil family.
Don't blame the goat. They're just victim of all that.
All right, my friend. Let's get into this.
What about the little baby goat? Have you ever seen that?
Goats are annoying.
Even the little baby ones?
Yes, they're all annoying. They're like,
Raghunath,
you know what? They're like pushy people. They're the pushiest of animals. You give them a little, they'll take everything.
Raghu, I haven't seen this in the goat.
Oh, yeah, geese are pretty bad too. Geese and goats, they're on my
Raghunath, this is coming for all this anger and animosity just started springing.
I've got some issues with geese.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's go on. Let's go on. Narayanam namaskrityanam chaivanarottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam madirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, which of respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva vadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Maditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
You know who we're going to hear from today, Raghunath? As we continue to travel throughout Jambu Dvipa and throughout the universe.
Who's up? Who's up next on deck?
Mother Earth.
Mother Earth. Mother Bhumi.
That's right. Boo Devi.
Okay.
Where
Canto 5, Chapter 18, Text 34.
Okay.
Sukadeva Goswami said, narrator speaking again, Dear King, the Supreme Lord in his boar incarnation, that's the wild pig incarnation,
Yes.
who accepts, not to think that the Supreme Lord is boring in his boar incarnation, who accepts all sacrificial offerings, lives in the northern part of Jambudweep. There in this tract of land known as Uttarakuru Varsh, Mother Earth and all the other inhabitants worship him with unfailing devotional service by repeatedly chanting the following Upanishadic mantra. Upanishadic mantra.
Upanishadic. In other words, whether that's saying that the verses are directly from the Upanishads or that they're very much of the same. I would assume that they're chanting verses that are deeply influenced by or in the same tone and so on as the Upanishads, You know
what's crazy? We're learning about religions in other universes. How crazy is that?
No, the same universe, but other planetary systems.
Other planetary systems. Sorry, I misspoke. Other planetary systems. Same universe.
Same universe.
Okay. Here it goes. Here's the prayer. O Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you as the gigantic person. Simply
this is Mother Earth speaking. Let's be clear.
Okay. Simply by chanting mantras, we shall be able to understand you fully. You are yagya, sacrifice, and you are the kratu, ritual. Therefore, all the ritualistic ceremonies of sacrifice are part of your transcendental body, and you are the only enjoyer of all sacrifices. Your form is composed of transcendental goodness. You are known as Triyuga because in Kali Yuga, you appeared as a concealed incarnation, and because you always fully possess the three pairs of opulences. So, Kaustubha, why don't you explain what that means? You are the only enjoyer of sacrifices.
Well,
what does that mean?
Well, you see, I if I would have had a little more time, I was out late last night, and if I would have had a little more
tattooed.
I wasn't getting tattooed. It was at a Bhakti Center event. Nice event. But I would have liked to have, you know, who's written well on this topic is Hridayananda Das Goswami, H.D. Goswami, in his Bhagavad Gita presentation. And he speaks about this idea of sacrifice, that if we have to try to understand what this is all about, right? If this world, what's being presented to us through this bhakti worldview is that each one of us is this little spark of spiritual energy that by nature has a relationship of deep love with God, who is the center and the source and the root of all existence. But somehow or other, we've decided to experiment outside that relationship, right? Or even play the role of the other in that relationship. Like I would like to play the role as the root and the center of all existence, the center of all adoration and distinction and so on. Okay, if that's what you want, we can provide that for you in an illusory realm, because
I'll take it.
Because I'll take, okay, let's go.
Sold.
Yeah, we can put you into the virtual reality. You can play it out there. But the way that Krishna designs is he wants us to come back to that loving relationship. And so the law of karma is programmed into that virtual reality, into that illusory realm, which is going to be a cosmic sensitivity training, a training so that we can regain that loving. You know, they say you've lost that loving feeling. Remember that one, right?
Yeah, that was a good song.
You're not even going to try that one. Interesting.
You lost that love and feeling.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in order that we might regain that loving feeling and not just get lost enjoying the material illusory atmosphere, built into it is the law of karma and the idea of sacrifice. That the very purpose, because what do we find in love? We find the deepest sacrifice, right?
How deep is your love?
Okay, I shouldn't have gotten you started. Now it's going to be. I was so proud of you for not jumping on the last one that I.
Imagine me in the temple doing this during Bhagavatam class, just screaming out.
Oh.
I've wanted to many times, but I was always retained, held back. But now you've given me newfound freedom. Thank you.
So this idea of sacrifice is there. It's coming through all the different spiritual traditions. It's greatly detailed in the Vedic spiritual tradition, how sacrifice becomes the dharma, the duty of every living being, to give of yourself. Now, it can be done through organized ritual. Like the Vedas are going to say, yes, it's necessary for us to perform sacrifice. Even if you want rain, perform sacrifice. Even if you want health, perform sacrifice. Show your gratitude through acts of sacrifice. But we're meant to evolve from that. I want this, I want that, therefore I perform sacrifice. We're meant to evolve to understand that the nature of love is sacrifice. And so really my entire life, my body, my words, my mind should all be given as an act of sacrifice. That's what love looks like, is that one sacrificing for the other. And so this concept of sacrifice is very central throughout all the Vedic teachings, from karma to jnana, ultimately up to bhakti.
Every type of love that we've ever received. And we can, it's a really nice, again, I've said this before, that when I was writing my book, my memoirs of my life, you can see how different people have come into your life to give you love, to give you support, to give you information, to give you food, to give, right? At different stages of our life, the universe sent people to love us. And those people were, the fountainhead of that love is coming from God. And therefore, the devotee is realizing, like, everybody's been loving me. Everybody's been nurturing me. Everybody's been sent to teach me something. And therefore, I'm a debtor that has to pay back this debt. Now, there's so many people, so many situations that I'm in debt to for what I have, that I'm going to go right to the source of it. I'm going to give that debt back to God. And therefore, God is the ultimate repository of our sacrifice. And that, and this is why we do in this whole Sankirtan Yagya, this sacrifice of our speech. We've given up our speech, and we focus our speech on spiritual sound.
Yeah, let's make our speech an act of sacrifice.
Our speech is an act of sacrifice.
Yeah, and so you brought up this what's mentioned here that you are the only enjoyer of sacrifices. So how do we understand that? One way to understand that is similar to what we were talking about earlier with these athletes. That because someone might say, but the Vedas instruct that one should perform acts of sacrifice to Agni, the god of fire, to Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, etc. Aren't they the enjoyers of sacrifice? No, because just like these humble athletes, in a sense, right? These devas are quick to say, I'm not the one. I pass that on to Lord Vishnu, who is the root of all existence, who is the true enjoyer of the sacrifice. I'm not meant to be the enjoyer. Just like if someone might say, oh, the mailman is the receiver of all gifts. No. The mailman just receives it and passes it on to the person that it's actually meant for. And so the devas are like that. In that sense, they are the only, in that way, they are not. Only Lord Vishnu is the enjoyer of sacrifice, the Yagya Purusha, right? So that's one answer, right?
Yep.
With me?
Yep.
Are you sure?
On it.
Looking
Yagya
right
Purusha.
here in the eye, right?
Yagya Purusha.
Yagya Purusha. And but I think another way to look at this is, you know what? We got to work on this, and I'm going to work on an analogy right now. And you work with me on it, right? Okay. Because, like when you're a little kid and you're like in some kind of science class or something, and they're beginning to teach you a little bit about electronics.
Okay, here comes the analogy. Let me see if I agree with this analogy.
Well, I'm not. I don't want to. It's not like I'm throwing it out there for you to challenge. I've already said from the beginning. Let's work together and develop this one.
Okay, let's do. Okay, well, I got to see if I even like it.
This is a little science project for you and I.
Okay, let's try.
So like sometimes when you're learning about electronics, they're showing how you connect different conductors from one thing to another. Usually it involves light bulbs or something like that, right? And,
yes, good.
Yeah.
I used to have one of those sets.
Okay.
What were they called?
I don't know.
Not an erector set.
Erector is one.
Not an erector set. It was like they had a box with different. Someone knows what it is. Put it on the board.
Fuses and things like that.
They teach kids electricity. They don't have things like that anymore.
So like with one of those kits, whatever they call it, you know. So let's say you have Heath kits.
No,
is that it?
Not
No?
that.
Okay.
It wasn't an erector set. I don't remember it to be a Heath kit. Electro set. Okay.
Anyway, let's say you're playing along with that, and you have a powerhouse, right? Like a generator of electrical energy. And then you have these cables and these wires that are extending from it, lighting different light bulbs, right? Now, let's say that one light bulb looks at another light bulb, right? And says, I want to get my energy from you, right? Even if you are down the chain on that one particular wire, you understand? Like, just like with Christmas lights.
Okay, better. I think this is a better analogy.
Okay.
Let's go with Christmas lights.
Well, I don't know. We're not done with it yet. But like some of those Christmas lights, if you remove one light,
the whole thing is over.
So I don't know if that plays into this analogy or not. But my point is, I might be further down the chain and thinking I'm getting my light from you. Or I might look at another cable and say, oh, look at that light. Look how bright it is. Let me derive my energy from that light.
Yeah.
And this is what we do as living beings. I look at another living being and say, let me derive my spiritual sustenance. Let me derive my deep happiness in connection to that being. Like I'm one light bulb looking at another light bulb, not recognizing that we were both getting our everything from one powerhouse, from one generator, and that is Lord Vishnu. Oh, you with me? See, I don't quite have it down yet, but you can understand.
We don't have it down yet. We don't have this analogy down yet.
Yeah, but
I'm supporting you. I want this to work. I'll help you get some clarity. But
you are getting what I'm saying, right?
I do understand. Yes.
So if there's one generator and it's got many different cords coming from it, and with light bulbs on them as they spread. Really, I could look at any of these light bulbs and say they've got energy. Let me connect with that energy and derive happiness through that connection. But really, I don't get lasting energy through connecting to that light bulb. That light bulb and I are getting our juice from the same generator. Let me turn to that generator. And when I really appreciate that generator, I'm going to produce the light that generator produces in every light bulb.
I love you, but we have to work on this analogy.
You're starting to like it?
No, I'm not liking it yet, but I like you. I want you to know that. I like you a lot.
Thank you, but you try to understand what I'm saying here, right?
I do understand the analogy. I just think we gotta sand it down.
I said that from the beginning, Raghunath.
I know.
I said that from the beginning. But I think even with this messiness right now, I think it's still illustrating something quite clearly. Okay, so in that sense, I might try to sacrifice to that other light bulb, but it's not the one that I meant to be sacrificing to. It's not the generator. It's the beneficiary of the generator. Let me turn to the generator, who is the only enjoyer of sacrifice, right? The only true enjoyer, because that's the generator that's supplying everyone. Even if I sacrifice to another light bulb, that light bulb has to pass it on back to the generator, because it's only the generator that's producing it all. So it's Vishnu that's holding it all together. It's Vishnu that's lighting it all up. It's Vishnu that is the center of our sacrifice, our giving, our offering. And when we do that, we're connected through that electric generator to every light bulb on the, whatever you'd call that, on the network, right? Okay. Just throwing that out there.
Right. Okay. We're going to work on that. We're going to take that apart, work on it. But yes, Vishnu is the source of all light bulbs.
Okay.
All right, Miss Mara. It is 6:50. Are we done? 6:54. You tell me. Oh, I got 5
All
minutes.
right. Okay.
You guys, excuse me.
Because there's some great prayers coming up from Mother Earth. You know, she's here. She's called Boo Devi, right? Let's just share just a little bit about Mother Earth, right? When we say Mother Earth, we generally think of this planet that we're
planet with legs. Hello, I am Boo Devi.
But not with legs. No, grow up, Raghunath. So when we say, but when they say Mother Earth, Boo means Earth, right?
Yes.
And they say like Boo Mata. It's like they actually been saying this for long before us.
Forever.
Yeah, they've been saying this forever. Boo Devi. Like when you go to South India and you see in the temples where you see Lord Vishnu, he generally has Lakshmi on one side and Boo Devi on the other, right? The goddess of fortune on one side and Mother Earth. That's the feminine energies coming from Lord Vishnu that are benedicting us, right? The earth is giving us so much. The goddess of fortune is giving us so much. All our good fortune, everything that sustains us, both from Lakshmi and from Boo. Shri and Boo, they say like that, right? Shri Devi and Boo Devi. So Mother Earth has been formally worshipped like this. You know, people, you know, Westerners came, they invaded, they pillaged and you know, stole the wealth of India.
Oh yeah.
But and when they would look at this type of worship, they would they would frame it in such a way where it was primitive. No. This was actually they had deeper insights, you know, deep insights about life and the worship of the earth. The formalized worship of the earth is a sign of their wisdom. Yeah. So we'll hear more from Boo Devi, from Mother Earth, tomorrow.
Appreciation is always a sign of a person's depth and evolution. Okay. It's 57. Should we?
Let's hear from Mara.
Miss Mara, what do you got? You got some nuggets? And nuggets turned into takeaways, turned into goodies?
I got some goodies for you.
Give me a goodie.
You don't need artificial bravado to be great.
No, nice.
No.
I got one. You're gonna
What's
like.
Evil Knievel humble? I think he
He was fearless.
I
He
know
kind of
this. Fearless.
not only in his motorcycle, but like he was very much antagonistic to the Hells Angels. He didn't like how
Oh, really?
they treated others, and he was very outspoken about it.
Really?
And they hated him.
Really? How do you know
But he
this?
was like the best guy on a motorcycle. They had to admit that. Like he was doing things on motorcycles that they could never do, and they were a motorcycle club. You know, he was. I don't know too much about him, but he's an interesting character for sure.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm impressed you know that much about him.
He knows,
Stuba.
of course, he knows about everything.
So he does.
He knows everything. Sports stars, tennis
Prabhupada-
stars. He knew what a Grand Slam was. Musicians, 70s music.
Goat. Prabhupada said we should.
You know what goat means?
I know.
Prabhupada said we should know.
Wait, you know what goat meant too, and you never told me?
Everybody knows what goat means.
Never
right?
asked. Everybody knows.
But Prabhupada said we should know everything about something and something about everything.
What if I know nothing about nothing? Nothing plus nothing leaves nothing. You gotta have something if you want to be with me.
Okay.
I sing the same 12 songs on rotation on this podcast.
do.
Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Painfully.
We all
we
know.
have
Like
known.
I've sang that song many times, I
Yeah.
think.
Yes, you have. Right now.
Okay. Pass the praise like a Vaishnava.
Pass it like a Vaishnava.
That's like a t-shirt, right?
That passed the praise like a Vaishnava. I like that.
Maintain humility because your position is temporary.
Oh, that's a very good point.
It's all temporary.
We can be possessed by greed in a moment.
Possessed.
Igloo. There's a cooler. Look at that cooler.
Possessed by English.
It's kind of funny.
It's funny because it's like a cooler. Like
But it's
that's
just-
how old I am.
But it's just kind of like he opens up the door to temptation. Go to the Igloo website and choose anything you want.
anything. It's not like it's like pick out a
It's not like you
pick
said
out
go to the
best
Mercedes-Benz
watch or a
website or something like that.
Mercedes-Benz. It's like I'm at that age where I think coolers are really cool. I got
Anything you
lots of
want.
Wonderful picnics with these coolers.
Give your mind, body, and words as an act of sacrifice.
There you go.
The universe sends people to love, nurture, and teach us.
Okay. We got to get a little closer to the mic. Little closer.
Go to the source of our debts.
Go to the source
Source of our debts.
We're all debtors.
of our
We're all
debts.
debtors. Yeah.
We're all indebted. Vishnu holds it all together and lights it all up.
Okay.
If you stop me up, let me up.
And,
That's a new one. You haven't done that one before, right?
and
You light up my life. You give me
Oh, God.
hope to carry on.
I'm about to mute out
done
your
that.
life if you're not careful here. Okay.
and
Yeah.
life's not fair. There aren't any basketball reparations.
Oh, sorry about that, right?
Basketball's not fair. It's just
Basketball
favoring the tall.
reparations.
It's favoring the tall. And what did he do to get tall? Nothing.
No,
Born
he
that
did.
way.
He earned it, Ragnar. That's
Nothing.
his karma. Previous
I know,
life.
I'm just saying they should have it. There should be a.
So
at
it
a
is
certain
fair.
Point, there's a whole new league, right?
Want to join a short
There's a
league?
whole new league for shorter people.
Well, we're
That's what I'm
gonna.
saying.
Even if there was a short league, do you think you'd be competing in it?
Maybe. At least I'm
Maybe.
not even going to try. That's the thing. I won't even try. It's like, oh, I get it. This is for the privileged top. Whose fault is it? It's the world. The world's working against me.